Hello guys, welcome to My New York Eye. We are here with Dominic Santana for All Eyes on Me, releasing June 16th. And sir, congratulations on the wonderful film. You are amazing.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about playing this real life character.
Man, it's a lot to it. It's very intense, very aggressive, just well-known icon, especially in the '90s hip-hop music era. And I mean, Death Row had its own era. If that tells you anything, when you can mastermind a whole era, that's something special.
Right, right. So how is it? As an actor, it's always a specific challenge to play a real life person.
Yeah.
How was that research process and everything? Talk a little bit about that.
I'm a researcher, anyway, just, I love to learn and, so I'm always researching things, even if it's for no reason. So that part, that worked out really well for me because, I dug into digging up, videos, of course, all the videos that are popular, people like everyone have seen, but also digging for those real obscure videos that, even some things that I'd never even seen before that I didn't know were online. And like behind the scenes footage of music videos with Tupac and Suge Knight interacting at parties, just crazy stuff like that. So I did a lot of that, did a lot of digging up, reading old articles, staring at pictures, staring at, watching, putting the videos in slow-mo, watching him walk, how he stands, just studying from eyes all the way, up in his facial expressions and things like that, just to really kind of, put it in my head and get into that mode. Also, as well as we had a nice group of people that were actually at Death Row, when it was in its prime, that know Suge, that knew Tupac, so there were people there. We had a lot of people we could reference to, and ask, hey, am I doing this right, or hey, is this coming off? You getting that feel? And they could say, yeah, you need to adjust this or that, or say, oh, you nailed it, So had a lot of support in that way as far as getting into the role.
Right. As part of playing this character, can you talk about those two different opposites where he really cares, and also how did you adapt that as an actor, and how did that play out?
It's funny because just last night I was having a conversation with a really great person about the duality of grown up in certain kinds of environments where you can have a guy that, and I'm not using Suge as the example, but just in general, you can have a guy that, can go out and in the streets or, whatever he's doing, if he's doing dirt, can go out and if need be, shoot someone, kill someone, and then go home and be the most loving father, kiss his mother on the cheek. She can boss him around. No one else can, but his mother, but he has that respect. And you look at that duality, like, how can someone be such a loving father? You see him playing and kissing on his daughter or son, and then go to the street and be, a murderer. But it's, people grow up in certain environments where, it's filled with, you have people and you have monsters, and if you don't know how to be a monster, then you're a victim, in most circumstances, And so I think people from certain environments just have that two sides of the brain that just develop where, you have the monster side where you can turn that on. When you step out of the house, I know I'm walking into a world of monsters, so it's time to, put my monster suit on and do what needs to be done, if it needs to be done. But when I come home, or I'm with my people personally, it's nothing but love and kindness and, loyalty, all that good stuff. So I definitely understand it. I grew up in places like that. I grew up around people like that. I've been in situations where I've had to, be I'm around monsters and I got to be one as well. Because, it's like wolves, if they see weakness in the wolf, what happens? Well, they all attack that wolf once they sense he's weak or injured. And that's, those guys coming out of Compton or, coming out of any place like that in the world, those people usually come out with that duality. Now, some are just monsters, but then you get those people who are actually, smart and have had somebody feeding into their lives some good sense and intelligence, but also then you have that side of where they're coming up from, so you get that mixture,
Right.
And I think that's what Suge had I've experienced it myself in my own life, so I know that, you know, that duality is there. So it actually wasn't too hard to find that just because of just real life. You know, I've seen it, you know, and I understand it. Is, you know, I don't just look at a person like, oh, well, he did this. You know, 'cause what about all the other side of him? You know, all you know is the monster. What have you stopped to say why? How did that happen? You know, what was the environment like? You know, what were the things that, you know, were earmarks in this person's life that made them be the way they are?
Can you talk a little bit about how that you know, experience of being on two coasts and everything, you know, influenced you as an artist, as a storyteller?
It actually was really great for me, just because, you know, of course I didn't think so when we would get up and move, but you know, once I became an adult, and the well-roundedness it gives you, because the cultures are a lot different. I don't mean just hip hop culture or white or black or whatever. Just in general, you know, like you go. We were actually living in Phoenix. And, but if you go to, you know, California, that sunny weather and, you know, no humidity, you know, and it's pretty much around the same temperatures most of the year.
Right.
People's attitudes are a little different, and you even feel different. You feel more carefree, and it's sunny. It's like vacation land, you know. Whereas New York, you know, in the winter is harsh, you know, and you know that when you know, walking by people in the streets in the winter in New York, you can tell everyone feels it's harsh, you know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so that definitely shapes, you know, how you go. Yeah, so being on the East Coast, and there's, especially during that time, I was on the East Coast toward the height of Death Row's prime, you know, so they were blasting everywhere. And at that time, you know, I don't know how much it is like that now, but I know at that time they would not play any East Coast music. So we never even heard those. So it was funny when we moved back east, you know, I'm getting to know people that are superstars that I'd never heard of, you know, simply because I was on the West Side, you know, and so, you know, I didn't know who Biggie Smalls was until I came back to the East, and, you know, people were like, you know, you don't know who Biggie Smalls is? I'm like, you know, I thought people were playing. I'm like, what's a Biggie Smalls? You know, I had no clue, you know, I'm all West Coasted out. And so, you know, but I got to learn and became a fan of Biggs too, and, but yeah, it just gave me a more well-rounded view of, you know, different sides of cultures, period, you know, especially in America, you know, different side of the West Coast, the East Coast, and even some of the in-between, you know, we're on the West Coast, on the West Side where we were staying at the time, you know, it was way more Mexicans than I'd ever seen, you know, and so, you know, we had Mexicans in North Carolina at the time, but it was way, you know, the number was way different. And then we go over there, and it's even a whole different type. You know, we had really great friends. I still have some of those friends to this day, you know, just really great friends. But even, it was funny because even they are different. You know, I noticed on the East Coast, they're a little more timid, kind of stay to themselves, and just hope no one bothers them. But then on the West Side, they're a lot more, it's more bravado, they're more confident, they're more willing to, you know, because, you know, I've seen, if they disrespect them on the West Coast, it's going to be a problem. Where on the East Coast, they're a little more like, you know, it's not really our zone, I don't want to ruffle the water too much out here. You know, so just noticing those differences and getting to be around different cultures and different people, and, you know, and then coming back to the East Coast and being around different people again, you know, and so you get just way more well-rounded, excuse me.
You know, from background to TV and independent films to, you know, studio films. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, you know, that's how that journey has been, and how do you feel now that you're, of course, this is just the beginning, as you all say, but you're
I'm not gonna lie, literally as an actor, you get to a point where if you really, really are passionate about it and you really want to be successful in it, you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and time goes by. And you literally get to a point where there's sometimes where it's so hard, but you've been in it so long now, you really have to weigh in, like, if I quit, I'm throwing away 10 years of my life. You know, I can't do that. Well, I guess we're in it now, you know. Ain't no turn. You get to that point where it's like there's no turning back, you know, unless I'm okay with throwing away a decade of my life, which I'm not, you know. But yeah, I started off doing extra work. I actually moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, is where I started my career. And at that time, Wilmington, North Carolina was one of the busiest, states as far as film goes on the East Coast. And they used to call it Hollywood East until the governor took away the incentive, and then, it kind of crashed down and Georgia picked up the pieces.
Yeah, man.
And, but yeah, that little town Wilmington, you wouldn't imagine, things like Iron Man 3, all just major movies being filmed there, and television shows, like 10 major television shows. So it was a great place to start because you didn't have the hustle and bustle of Hollywood, and so it wasn't as much competition, things like that. But you had major opportunities in real films and real network shows, and so that's where I started to build there. I started out being an extra. For me, that was school. I went there. I didn't go there for the little bit of money that was paid. I didn't go there to flirt with girls and stuff like you saw some of the other people. When I was there, I was watching everything, watching how a set works, watching how the director interacts with the actors, learning. Mm-hmm. That was my school, and then networking, getting to know them, getting to know what they look for, and, getting tidbits on the business. I did a movie one time where I had a lead role in the movie. We worked for like a month. I literally made $300 that month. I didn't even care. I didn't even think about how I'm gonna pay my bills, nothing. Right. Literally worked a month on this independent movie and only made $300, So things like that, they call it paying dues,
Right.
And so I paid a lot of dues. As you see, I'm a big guy, I'm tall, most actors are not, my size.
Right.
So these are things I had to battle, but every actor has some battle, You're not pretty enough, you're not handsome enough, you're not, I'm big, but somebody could be telling another person, but you're too small, or this or that. So everybody has those battles, so I don't complain about that. Like I knew my battle would be something,
So what's your message right now to other, storytellers? Diversity and inclusion is becoming a big word in Hollywood, but still, somebody who's living that life, you see there's still a lot of struggle that you have to go through. If you're not a white male in this industry. So from your experiences.
For men and women, because women have it, just as hard as being non-white male, even if they are a white female, they have a battle too. So, and it's more inclusiveness is getting better. A lot of diverse stories are getting told, real budgets are being put behind them and stuff. So that's changing, and that's good because there's a lot of talent. So if you believe in yourself, just continue, pushing that. Have your passion and push. Don't let anybody stop you.